You cannot even take care of me the way other women's husbands do. You cannot even buy me a gift, and you want to suffocate me with poverty in this house. Osita, you have no shame. In the busy city of Aba, in the eastern part of Nigeria, there lived a young man named Osita. Osita was a skilled mechanic who fixed cars at the local motor park. He lived with his mother, who was a widow. Every day while working on cars, Osita would see a beautiful young woman named Amaka. Amaka sold fruits at the motor park, and Osita couldn't help but notice her bright smile and kind heart. Day by day, Osita fell in love with Amaka and decided that he wanted her to be his wife. One evening, he called Amaka and asked her, "Will you be my wife?" Amaka was so excited and over the moon that she accepted to marry Osita. Osita gave her a hug and told her that he is going to introduce her to his mother. One evening, Osita went home and told his mother about Amaka. He said, "Mama, I have found the woman I want to marry. Her name is Amaka, and she sells fruit at the motor park where I work. She is a lovely soul. You will like her," he said to his mother. The next day, he brought Amaka to his mother for a proper introduction. Osita's mother asked Amaka about her parents. She told them that her parents are late and that she lives with a family member here in Aba. Osita's mother's spirit did not align with Amaka at all. She felt uneasy about Amaka's presence until she left that day. After Amaka left that night, Osita's mother woke him up that night and said, "Son, we need to talk." She told Osita, "My son, I do not think Amaka is the right woman for you. You should find someone else," the mother said to him, looking worried. Osita was surprised and asked, "But Mom, you have always wanted me to get married so you can have your grandchildren. What changed?" "See, Mama, I love Amaka so much and I want to give you those grandchildren through her." His mother still insisted, "I understand, my son, but I do not like Amaka. Please find another woman." "No, Mama, Amaka is my choice," Osita insisted too. "Don't worry, once you stay with her for some time, you will find out how beautiful her soul is, and you will get to love her as much as I do." Despite his mother's feelings, Osita's heart was set on Amaka. He loved her very much and believed she would make a wonderful wife. So, Osita decided to follow his heart. He married Amaka, hoping that one day his mother would see how special she truly was. Osita and Amaka lived happily after their marriage. After Osita and Amaka got married, everything seemed perfect at first. However, one night, Amaka woke up and woke Osita up and said, "I am no longer happy with your mother living with us. You need to send her to the village where other elderly women are." Osita was shocked and asked, "Why all of a sudden, Amaka? You said you were okay with it before we got married. What changed now?" Amaka replied, "I am no longer okay with it. Please, if you want to have peace in this house, send your mother back to the village to her husband's house so that I can enjoy my own husband's house. How can I be living in my husband's house with his mother? Please do the needful or you will not like what you will see from me." Amaka warned Osita. Osita loved his mother so much. After his father's death, he had taken his mother out from the village to live with him. He refused to listen to Amaka, his wife. He insisted that his mother would stay with them, at least until he finds a place for the mother to stay, other than the village. But then, their home started having many problems. Amaka even denied Osita his right as her husband. She made so much trouble to Osita's mother and Osita as well. So one day, after much trouble and argument, Osita reluctantly decided to send his mother back to the village. Amaka began to behave normal again after the mother left the house. Wanting to make Amaka happy after the whole incident, Osita borrowed money from a friend to open a fruit shop for her. Amaka was overjoyed because she was tired of selling fruit on the street. She was very happy for the surprise that Osita had given to her. Soon after, Amaka found out she was pregnant and she started changing. She would nag a lot and leave the house messy. She refused to cook or wash, and the house was in chaos. Osita, believing the pregnancy was the cause, lovingly took up all the household chores. He cooked, he cleaned, and made sure everything was in order, hoping things would get better once the baby arrived. When Amaka saw all these things, that he was not complaining, she literally left all the whole house chores for Osita. Amaka's behavior continued to worsen. Throughout her pregnancy, Osita started losing work at his mechanic shop, and his business began to crumble because he is not always at work. It's either he is running errands for Amaka, or he is cooking for Amaka, or he is cleaning the house or washing clothes. Customers began to take their work to another mechanic shop, thereby making Osita to lose money and also lose his customers. Despite the whole incident, Amaka, however, became more demanding, always asking for money. Even though she knew Osita was struggling with his business, she didn't seem to care anymore. "I need some money to make my hair," Amaka would yell at Osita. When Osita complains that he does not have any cash, Amaka will nag at him and warn him, "Why will you get married if you know you are not capable to take care of your wife and your child?" Osita grew worried about his wife's change in character. He noticed the kind of friends she was starting to keep and cautioned her. He said to her, "These women have the richest and most popular husband in this city. We are not on their level. Please, Amaka, stay away from these women. They are going to wreck our home if you're not careful." But Amaka will only look at him and said, "Will you be a poor man and also be a witch at the same time? You don't have money and you don't want me to mingle with people that are happening in the town. What sort of a man are you? So you also want to dictate the kind of friends I keep after you have rendered me useless by marrying me?" Amaka will yell at Osita. But despite all her nagging and insults, Osita ignores her because he was taught not to lay his hands on a woman by his mother. Months after, they welcome a baby boy, and Osita's happiness knows no bound. He hoped to get his loving wife back, but that was when the real problem began. After their child was born, Amaka's behavior got even worse. She left the baby at home with Osita, giving him detailed instructions on how to feed and care for the baby. One early morning, Amaka woke Osita up to instruct him on the baby's care. When he asked where she was going, she said she was going to purchase goods for her shop. Before Osita could say another word, Amaka was out of sight. He was stunned, thinking that things would have improved after the baby was born. But it had only gotten worse. He said to himself, "What is the meaning of this? Why is Amaka behaving like this? Why would she leave a newborn baby for me to feed?" As he was still thinking of what just happened, the baby's cry brought him back to his senses. Osita spent the day feeding the baby, washing dishes, and changing diapers. He couldn't go to work, and before he knew it, night had fallen. Amaka returned home as if nothing had happened, claiming she was exhausted. Unknown to Osita, Amaka had started seeing a wealthy young man named Chris. Chris lavished money on Amaka and she often went out with him. The community began to gossip and eventually word reached Osita. One day at his workshop, a friend told Osita he had seen Amaka with a young man who drove a big car. Guy, you left your wife for another man to dey service am. Guy, you be true guy yo. His friends mock and laugh at him. Osita was shocked and decided to confront his wife. That same day, Chris told Amaka he didn't want to share her anymore and that it was high time for her to choose between him and her husband. You have to make the decision, Amaka. I love you so much and I want you all to myself. I can't stand the thought of you in another man's arm, he said to Amaka. Amaka then replied and said to him, please, Chris, give me some time to think about it. I will get back to you, Amaka said. When she got home that day, Osita confronted her. Who is the young man you have been seeing? He demanded. The whole community is talking about it. How come I am the last person to know about it, Amaka? Who is he? And what does he want from you? Osita demanded angrily. Amaka flared up and said, you are the worst mistake I have ever made. And you have the guts to stand there and accuse me. With all your smelling self with poverty, you want to suffocate me with poverty in this stupid marriage of yours, Abi? You want me to suffer? You have been suffering me right from the day you got married to me. All my mates are enjoying themselves, enjoying their marriages, enjoying their husbands are buying them cars, their husbands are buying them gifts, clothes. You, what have you ever gotten for me before? And you still had the guts to stand here and talk to me about a man. You are a disgrace to manhood. Amaka fired at Osita angrily. I am done with this marriage before you will kill me with poverty. While they were arguing, the baby started crying. But Amaka ignored the baby's cry and went inside because initially she had refused to breastfeed the baby, stating that she does not want her breast to fall. She only gave the baby formulas. Osita had to pick up the baby and nurture him while he followed Amaka into the room. She went inside to pack her things and she also called Chris to come and pick her up immediately. Osita went from anger to begging. He knelt down carrying the baby and pleaded with Amaka to stay. He even begged her to look at the face of the newborn and not abandon the newborn. But her mind was made up. She left her husband and their newborn baby without looking back. Chris was already waiting outside, waiting for her. He took her inside his car with her luggages and they drove off, leaving Osita crying with the baby on his arms as he sat on the floor, looking devastated. He cried his eyes out. Amaka moved in with Chris, who lavished her with money and gifts. She was thrilled to have the luxurious life she had always dreamed of, far from the poverty she associated with Osita. Chris even bought her a car, making her feel like she was living in a fairy tale. But as time went on, Chris started seeing other women too. Amaka was upset and confronted him about it. Instead of understanding, Chris slapped her and told her to shut up her mouth. I bought you with my money, so you have no say in my life or I throw you out of my house. Amaka was shocked. Osita had never laid a hand on her before. Feeling helpless, she watched Chris continue to go out with different women in the city, unable to protest. After a while, Amaka asked Chris about their marriage plans. To her surprise, Chris told her he had changed his mind about marrying her. Why? Amaka demanded, desperate for an explanation. Chris coldly replied, I can't marry a woman who left her husband for another man. If things get tough for me tomorrow, you will definitely leave me for another man too. Amaka was stunned. Before she could process what he said and reply, Chris walked out of the house. Left alone, Amaka sat down and cried. She began to regret everything she had done to Osita. She realized the life she had thought she wanted had turned into a nightmare, and she longed for the days when she was with Osita, who had treated her with love and respect. Filled with regret and sorrow, Amaka wished she could turn back the hands of time and make things right with Osita. She realized too late that true happiness didn't come from money and luxury, but from genuine love and care she had left behind. One day, a beautiful woman knocked on Chris' door. Amaka answered and asked who she was looking for. The woman replied that she was looking for Chris, her husband. Amaka was shocked. The woman pushed Amaka aside and stormed into the house. Chris was also shocked to see her. The woman angrily asked Chris, so this is the Kenya you told me that you were traveling to for business, this useless man. You are here with another woman frolicking the whole city with women, Abi Christopher. Before Chris could respond, Amaka cut in, demanding to know who the woman was. Chris said, she is my wife. Amaka shouted, you were married? Wait, you were actually married? You are married all this time and you still had the guts to shatter my marriage. Chris replied calmly, I didn't force you to leave your husband. You left because you are greedy and selfish. Amaka's brain became numb with pain and rage with what Chris just said. In a fit of fury, she picked up a vase and hit Chris' wife on the head, causing her to faint. Amid the commotion, there was a knock at the door. When Chris opened it, the police were there. They accused him of fraud and money laundering. They also arrested Amaka for attempted murder. Amaka was released 2 years later because Chris' wife did not die and didn't suffer any major injury. When she was released, she discovered that everything Chris had bought for her had been confiscated by the government. Even Chris' property, everything was with the government. She was left with nothing, not even a change of clothes. Alone and broken, Amaka realized the full extent of her mistakes. She had traded genuine love and stability for a fleeting, deceptive dream of luxury. Now, she had nothing, no one. Her thoughts drifted back to Osita, the man she had once loved and betrayed. Filled with regret, she wished she could turn back the hands of time and undo the wrong things she had done. Amaka decided to seek forgiveness from Osita. When she got to the house where they had lived, she found new people had moved in. Devastated, she searched everywhere in the city but couldn't find him. When she tried to find work to start over, no one could employ her because everyone knew she was an ex-convict. Feeling hopeless, one of her old friends invited her to Port Harcourt to start afresh again. In Port Harcourt, Amaka began job hunting. One day, she saw a notice for a sales representative needed at a car store. She decided to apply and upon arriving, was confused about where the entrance was. She could not locate the entrance of the office. She saw a man playing with a little boy outside and greeted him. Good evening, sir. Good morning, sir. Please, where is the direction to the reception? When the man turned to answer her, it was Osita. Osita was surprised to see her, and Amaka felt ashamed. She immediately went on her knees to apologize, but Osita told her he had nothing against her anymore. As they were talking, Osita's mother and a beautiful woman walked in on them. The little boy ran to hug the woman, calling her, "Mommy, Mommy." Osita introduced his wife to Amaka, and she was overwhelmed with shame and regret. Osita then told Amaka that he was the owner of the car store. Amaka, filled with regret, realized how much she had lost. Osita had moved on, built a beautiful business, and found happiness with a loving family. It happened that after Amaka left, Osita's mother came back and took care of the newborn, while Osita went back fully to work. And that was when one of his old friends brought a car for him to work. He gave Osita an offer to manage his car store, and after 1 year, he settled Osita to start up his own car shop. Amaka saw the way her son called another woman mother and was filled with shame and regret. Although it was painful, she knew she had to accept the consequences of her actions and find a way to rebuild her life. She left Port Harcourt and relocated to Lagos, where she can start all over again. Marriage is a beautiful thing and it requires teamwork. Do not leave your partner when they are at their lowest. Be there for them, pray for them. Everything will fall back in place. I wish you all happy married life. See you in my next story.